I'm not Professor Xavier, but I know what you're thinking, dear reader. Avengers vs. X-Men? Before Marvel Studios even introduces their X-Men? That doesn't make any sense. Well, after today, when it was announced that the original cast of the mutants from the old Fox films are exclusively in Avengers Doomsday, it became very clear that this could happen in the film, and we already know how. Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, and the other actors from the X-Men trilogy facing the Avengers should be the big showdown in the conclusion of Doomsday. All of this would only make sense if the story Marvel is telling was to culminate with Avengers Secret Wars, and as has already been announced, this is, in fact, the film that ends the multiverse saga. Secret Wars, as I explained here, was the biggest Marvel comic book event of this century, and it ended with the total collapse of the multiverse and a final battle with characters from various realities facing a super-powerful Doctor Doom. Before that, however, parallel dimensions were eradicated through something called incursion, a word the publisher's heroes gave to the clash between two Earths. For reasons explained in the story, our planet was the meeting point between the universes, and when the Earths touched, both cosmos were erased from existence. Marvel tells all of this in the arc that preceded Secret Wars. Time runs out, and there was usually some big battle during an incursion, as the heroes discover that if one of the two Earths is destroyed, both universes are spared, except of course for the planet that exploded. A lot of stuff happens, and it all culminates in a confrontation between the Avengers from the main comic book line, Earth 616, against the Ultimates, the Avengers from the Ultimate Universe. This had a dual purpose. Marvel had decided to establish the Ultimate line, which emerged in the 2000s with the aim of modernizing the heroes and giving new readers an easy starting point, and so it did. With the exception of Miles Morales, the Ultimate Universe ended there until it returned in 2023 in a new incarnation, which, to be fair, is much more exciting. The second intention of the Avengers vs. Ultimates fight was to give the Ultimate line a big send-off. You're already understanding where I'm going. If the MCU is Earth 616, what is the other cinematic universe of Marvel characters that we have a long-standing relationship with? It's certainly not the one with Venom and Morbius. The equivalent of the Ultimate Universe in the movies is the Foxverse, a loving nickname for the continuity where the X-Men films took place. In a fight where only one of these two groups will survive, we will be emotionally invested. We have baggage with both sides. We know, thanks to the post-credits of Multiverse of Madness, that incursions are happening in the movies, and in the Marvels, there is a crossover between these two universes. Why not continue with that? Just as the confrontation against the Ultimates was ideal to lead us to Secret Wars in the comics, the one with the X-Men could be the event the MCU needs. No one will care about the Hulk facing a never-before-seen Hulk variant, but what about Hulk vs. Wolverine, the long-awaited fight from the comics, with Mark Ruffalo and Hugh Jackman? That's a different story. Here, I need to soothe the nerves of the comic book readers. Avengers vs. X-Men, despite not being one of Marvel's most celebrated, has enough material to serve as a closing for a possible mutant saga that Kevin Feige and his team can devise post-Secret Wars in the movies, and if they decide to do so, that's fine. But an Avengers vs. X-Men, not those back-and-forth versions from the Fox films, would be the true versions of the X-Men before Feige gives, once and for all, a reboot to the brand and introduces a new generation. It wasn't the MCU that shaped the X-Men, but with the exception of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the most hyped films post-Avengers Endgame are all based on inherited merit, not earned. That's how it was with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in Spider-Man No Way Home, that's how it will be with Deadpool and Wolverine, and that's how it will be when Secret Wars brings back not only those people, but also Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and Scarlett Johansson. There's another word for inherited merit: fan service. And there's gratuitous fan service, just as there's fan service with heart. The very use of Maguire and Garfield in No Way Home to create a celebration of who Peter Parker is and give closure to Peter Chapter 3 is an example of how to do it the right way. With Avengers vs. X-Men within Avengers Doomsday, Marvel would have a chance for something similar.
Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you liked it, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. Your interaction is very important for the channel's growth. See you in the next video.